I'd like to start with the elephant in the room, which is what is wrong with the GOP in the state of California?
All right, I'm going to stand up. I want to bring some energy into this room. I'll tell you what is wrong with the Republican Party in California. We are not winning. We need to win in California. I'm tired of being told that you have to put up with it or leave this state. Why should we leave? We're not the ones that did this to our beautiful state. They need to leave. The corrupt, rotten regime in Sacramento, the establishment in Sacramento, and for too long the Republican Party's been propping it up. We need to fight back. What did President Trump teach us? Fight, fight, fight. That's how we take our state back. We've got to fight the corrupt elite. We've got to fight for working people in California, small business in California, fight for freedom and opportunity. My family left communism in Hungary. I came here with my wife and 2 children not to have the flame of freedom extinguished here in California by this corrupt, rotten regime. We are going to fight and we are going to win.
Steve, over to Louis Herms.
Just to remind you, the question is, what is wrong with the GOP in the state of California?
Thank you, Laura. Well, first, this won't be popular, but it's a captured operation in California. That's the truth. The reality is they spend more time trying to put a rhino, Republican in name only, in office. The primaries are the most important, and they focus on getting a rhino because they know the Democrats there, it's 2 sides of one coin. It's a game. The primaries are the most important. The California GOP focuses everything where? They tell you to focus on the general election, don't they? Elections are won and lost in the primary. The California GOP, in my opinion, is a captured operation. They'll support 5 people while they're raising money for them, and at the last second, they'll throw it all into who I believe they have compromised. I don't need my full time for that.
Thank you, Louis Herms.
Your elections are a disaster. You mail 3 ballots out, 2 of them go to somebody real, 1 ballot goes somewhere else. What kind of election is that? No wonder you have so much cheating. First part is, how do you expect to win in this climate?
When the elections are rigged, that's what we mean by this climate.
Yeah, they're rigged. Yeah, exactly. How do you expect to win? And then second, if you were governor, how would you fix it?
Louis Herms.
Well, let's have a second of honesty. Under the current system, nobody here is going to win an election. That's the reality of it. So how do we fix it now? You're not going to fix it. We're not going to fix it after we get in. Right? Thank you very much, Dr. Doug Frank, ladies and gentlemen. What do we need to do? We, the people, need to rise up. We, the people, need to be getting involved right now. We, the people, have to educate everybody on what the heck is going on. So I'll give you a little education and see if this resonates with you. In 2018, Orange County, California, 5 Republicans were put in to the county seats. Yet, in the morning, 5 Democrats took those seats. How's that possible?
Cheating.
That's ballot harvesting. Okay? It's ballot harvesting. Now, I believe there's a deep state parasitic cabal that's running this mess. All right? That's what's going on right now. So they're ballot harvesting. You think that was new for them? No, they've been doing it 40 years over all around the world. The CIA, sorry 3-letter agency, has been highly involved in this. So in 2018, I don't think they were testing whether ballot harvesting worked. You know what they were doing? They were seeing what the apathy of the Republicans were. And it was horrible because the next day, you know what all 5 of them said? We'll get them next time. Right? That's what they're checking. So at that moment in 2018, they knew they won the 2020 election. Think about that. We need to educate people for We the People really quick since they have a couple seconds left. Voter IDs, no brainer. Same day voting, paper ballots, yada, yada, yada. Of course, one more thing, serial numbers.
Thank you, Louis Herms. And Steve Hilton.
All right. The question, how are we going to win? The president taught us the answer. You know the phrase, too big to rig. That is actually how we win this election. And I'm going to tell you what that means in practice. Here are the numbers. Next year is a midterm election. in the midterm election to project the total number of votes we can expect in California next year. You take the average of the last two, 2018, 2022. The number of votes estimated in California next year, 11.8 million. To win, I will need just over half of that, call it 5.9 million. People say there aren't enough Republican votes in California for a Republican to win. Well, guess how many votes President Trump got in California last year without even campaigning here? 6.1 million votes. If everybody who voted for President Trump last year votes for me for governor next year, I will be the next governor of California with 200,000 votes to spare. That's how we do it. We get the Trump vote out. Voter ID is how we do that, because we know it's popular across the board. It's especially popular with Republican voters. If we get it on the ballot for next year, that's how we get the turnout we need to make it too big to rig. And here's the second and most important part, and it goes back to Lara's question. For so long we've been told in California, to win here, you need to be some kind of watered down version of a Republican, some kind of Democrat light. No, to get that vote out, we need an inspiring, clear, strong, common sense conservative message, dismantling the climate insanity, ending the gender ideology, strong, clear messages. That's how we get the vote out. And finally, what would I do to make this system better in the future? I don't know about, I love you, David, but the blockchain, I'm not sure. I'm kind of old-fashioned. Vote on one day, count on one day, results on one day, paper and ballots. That's how we make a system everyone can have confidence in.
Thank you, Steve.
I would like to know from each one of you what the top 3 things are you're going to do to take back control of the food supply and protect the ranchers and farmers of this state.
I half agree. Of course we want to work with the federal government. Isn't it going to be fantastic when we have a governor that wants to work with the administration rather than constantly fighting them? And I agree with you. Brooke Rollins, the Ag Secretary, she's a friend of mine. Yes, of course, we're going to work with them. Look, I love our ag industry. I've been on the road for the last 3 years getting ready for this. I've spent so much time in the Central Valley. Literally last night, I was in Chowchilla in the morning, down in Tulare County. I know our farmers. I love our farmers. There are 3 big issues. Number 1, water. By the way, when I talk about this subject, I know, I still have the accent. I'm a proud American, I'll have you know, just in case anyone was doubting. But there are certain words, especially on this issue, you've got to really say it in an American accent. I'm going to get water to our farmers, not water. And the other one, our ranchers. Our ranchers need our help. I've been out on the ranch with them, riding the horses. Here are the 3 big issues. Water, but it's also energy and it's labor regulations. On all 3, there's a lot that we can do here. The pastor was exactly right. We need to raise Shasta Dam 18 feet. That is the exact proposal. We need, even within our current system, without building any new infrastructure. I was there in Colusa County. I should have been 100 feet underwater. That's where the Sites Reservoir should have been built in the 1970s, blocked by ridiculous environmental rules. But right now, today, even without any new infrastructure, by appointing people to the State Water Resources Control Board, we can increase deliveries to our farmers. That is what I will do. We will open up energy in California, our oil and gas, not this ridiculous solar farms, ripping out real farms. That's how we help our farmers, and we restore the 60-hour overtime week, overtime rule.
Thank you, Steve. And we have Lewis Herms.
This is a fascinating subject, actually, and something I'm diving deep into currently, because what we have to understand first, in my opinion, is that the food is poison, and it's intentional, right? I don't even have to wear my tinfoil hat. I think most of you can agree that the food is poison here. So if they're intentionally poisoning our food, why would that be? Because a sick population is a controllable population. Right? Again, it's about we the people now stepping up and getting the word out and explaining to people this is what's going on. But there are fixes. There's real fixes. Now, I'd like everybody to understand, there's not real organic food in California. Did you know that? Yeah, that's a con. Okay? There's not true organic food. And I love what Bobby Kennedy's doing, because he's really starting to attack some of the chemicals and the dyes and so on and so forth, right? It's great. My wife and I have traveled all over the place, and I can tell you when we go to Central, South America, we were just in Ireland, guess what? It's illegal there. They don't put that stuff in their food. So why do we have it here? Because they're trying to control this population. right? Call it about money, it's fine. But when we're sick, we're controllable. But there's very easy and concrete ideas. I'm going to tell you something very, very woo-woo. So here, this is my tinfoil hat. You ready for this? You know what we can do to the farms? We can add copper wiring around them, and we can actually sing. It's proven. There's people that travel the world. You can sing to crops, and they grow at a rate of twice as much. You can absolutely do that. I know it sounds crazy, but you know what else you can do, which isn't very important? You can remineralize the soil by rotating the crops, right? We don't need all this crazy chemicals in this. God has given us the most amazing food that you could ever have, but we have corrupted it, and that's satanic.
Thank you, Louis.
This question is about sex trafficking, okay? The United States sex trafficking industry is #1 in the world, illustrating the extent of our depravity. Our country is now spending more money on raping little children than we are on illegal drugs. Our government schools are grooming our children for consumption, and our government is setting up laws to take away parental rights to enhance this market. So, first, what do you think about that problem in California? How big is the problem in California? Second, are any of you already involved in addressing this issue? I hate it when politicians say, if you elect me, I will do X. What are you doing now to address this problem? And third, if you are elected governor, what would you do then? How about that? Question 1, how big of a problem do you think it is? 2, are you currently doing anything in that effort? And 3, if you're elected governor, what would you do about it?
And just to set the stage for this for all of you, we're talking about sex trafficking is how you murder a child without killing them. This is not a frivolous issue.
It's an unbelievably serious issue. And my first encounter with the issue, actually, I think there's never been a movie that has affected me more than a movie, I don't know if you saw this, it was a few years ago, called Lilia Forever. Lilia Forever, which told the story of a sex-trafficked girl from Russia into Sweden. I still shudder to think of it, but it was, I literally left, this was back in England, so many years ago, I literally left that movie theater and I said, I've got to do something about this. I can't just watch this and do nothing. And at the time, I was senior advisor to the Prime Minister in the UK. And I went back to 10 Downing Street to my office the next day. And I said, we have to act. And I was then, fortunately, in a position to act. And we did. And there was a minister in our cabinet who started a whole global effort on this. It started from the UK. That was many years ago. I actually can't tell you now what happened to that. But we acted. Is it a problem? The World Center for Child Sex Trafficking is just up the freeway in Los Angeles. Figueroa Street, to be precise. I mean, I'm not going to... I can't use the time to tell you that there's nothing more disgusting than this. And it stems from the fact that we've got an ideology in charge here in California that stems from that Marxist ideology that parents shouldn't be trusted, that the government is in charge, and everything we're seeing now in schools and with this issue, whether that's...
I'm not going to stand on this one. This is a serious issue. This is the single biggest reason, as most of you know, why I entered the race. I've been working deeply on exposing child trafficking at a very, very high level. But here's the deal, and we need to realize this. This is the #1 economy in the United States and in California. The #1 economy. Think about that, right? But it's hidden. Why is it hidden? Because it's run by judges. It's run by corporations. It's run by political personnel, right? It's deep, it's sick. What happened not too long ago is the cartels and the powers that be figured out that they could not make as much money on drugs. You know, we have over 3 to 4 times more fentanyl that's needed to kill every American right here already in the States. And why would they spend money on fentanyl when it's going to kill their client? When they can take a child and they could resell that child 30, 40, 50 times a day. But we need to talk truth. These children are being anal penetrated. And that's the type of conversation we cannot run from any longer. So I did a film on it. It's called Cages. So that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing currently. I went to the border, right? I've been talking to sheriffs, everything I can possibly do. Here's where I would agree with David Serpent. The sheriffs have all the power to do this right now. Right this second.
Right now.
But we, the people, need to pressure them.
Speak it.
We need to get our butts off our chairs and stand in front of the sheriff's office and saying, we won't take it anymore. The children are our future, and we must demand accountability, and we must demand it now. God wants it. We need to take it.
Thank you, Louis.
If you become governor, what are you going to do about the child trafficking and the censorship?
So I'm going to focus on the censorship part, and I've been thinking about this a lot in the last few weeks since Charlie was murdered. There you are with your Charlie Freedom t-shirt. Thank you so much. Charlie was my friend for nearly 10 years. He endorsed me on day one. You'd better believe that this man who died for our right to speak freely, that we are going to keep his fight alive. We are going to fight these people when they try and censor us and silence us in this state. It will be the foundational thing that I will do for us as governor.
Well, it's interesting because most people know that if they know me, child trafficking is my #1 issue. But guess what? There wouldn't be child trafficking if we had no censorship. Because we've been trying as hard as we can, and the media's been suppressing us, the government's suppressing us. The #1 issue really is the suppression of our voice and the First Amendment. Because if our voices were where they should be, none of these problems would exist. What would I do? First thing I would do is, as Lara was indicating, is I would go after Child Protective Services and the judges that are obstructionist judges that are allowing this to go on, including chemical castration of our children. That's done. I would have a symposium with the sheriffs immediately and tell them, as I do with my other platform, remember your oath, we're always doing this, is we will hold you accountable or support you if you're doing your job. And that is mega important. We need to rise them up when they're doing their job, and when they're not, they need to be held accountable. First thing I'm going to do in regards to that is I'm going to have a website called exposure.ca.gov. And anybody that is acting inappropriately in regards to taking care of this issue will be exposed on our website. If a judge is not doing his job, he's going on a website. If CPS is not doing their job, we're calling them out on the website. And over, because we the people will end up having to put the pressure on it. It's never about me, and I'm sorry, it's not about these candidates, it's about you. And we the people have all the power to take California back and save our children 100%, but you got to step up, you got to do it.
Fantastic. Thank you, Louis Herms.
Now that was an answer.
And some of you have been asking me, why is Sheriff Bianco not in the house? Well, I will let you know that we actually scheduled him to be here months ago. We actually moved the date for Sheriff Bianco to be here. Unfortunately, Sheriff Bianco has declined.